wouldn't continue up. Ugh. Price has moved about 2,900 pips. Yesterday price moved 5,000. Day before 33. Day before that 66. 23. 26. We're starting to move a little bit more on average since 2 days ago. And since we have our font urine here, right? So let's take a quick 2 minutes and go over. So when you're adding contracts, you gotta look at, and this is for everybody, when you're adding contracts on your initial entry, that is like your I don't like to use the word hope, but that is like your what if type of entry, right? Like you're telling yourself, at this point, what if it goes up? At this point, what if it goes down? And every entry is going to be different, Irfan, so that's why it's tough to go over, you know, like I could go every single day, we'd have to go over, because every single day there's different things that are in the way, you know. So like looking at down over here, yesterday, on this doji at 740, that was where I entered into one contract. As price finally broke through the gold zone and headed up here, that's when I started adding contracts to it. So every day, like you just gotta look, you know, what is in the way. Like if you were entering in down over here at 715 and you added in one contract, the next thing that I would be looking for is to see, like, how do we respect perp? You know, does price push above perp? At that point, I would be adding contracts to it. You know, do we break the previous high? If we break the previous high, which is the gold zone, you know, add contracts to it there. So it really depends on the entry and what we have over here. 645. On this day, I entered in off the rejection at 635 to come down. I got into one entry here. So looking at the next time I want to enter in is if price continues down through the gold zone. So as price pushes through the gold zone here at 645, that's when I start adding contracts to it. So every time you get into an entry for the one contract, you're looking for the next indicator or next area of support or resistance. It could be a trend line, it could be anything. And it can be anything because it really depends on the day and what we have. Like even looking at right now, you know, so let's say like price was to support perp right now and the level, and price would go up. I would enter into one contract going up, and then I would probably add contracts depending if we break this previous high. So you gotta be cognizant, you gotta be conscious of what is in front of us. You know, if we're selling off here, if price was to sell off here and break underneath perp, I probably wouldn't get in. I would get into one entry. As price maybe pushes harder below perp or harder below level, I might add contracts over there. It really depends on the entry and what we have as support and resistance. Right now we're getting some support to the perp line right there. That's some big volume. I hope that helps. The more, that's why being a good trader is being a master at your craft, right? Like being a master at understanding structure, seeing where the trend lines are, seeing where the high of the day, the low of the day. And remember, every single thing could play as a resistance or a support. So everything I could use, everything you could use as a reason to add contracts, you know, because there's going to be times like right now, price is completely pushing off of perp through the level, through the previous high. You know, the likelihood of this going up is really high. So like on an entry like this, like yeah, maybe you could just enter into multiple contracts at once. But if price was to like be down over here and it ends, you know, that's where I would be like, okay, maybe I'll enter into one contract, and if it continues up, I'll add contracts at that point. Because we want to, you know, we want to be confirmed that price is going to continue in the right direction before we add more contracts, right? I mean, think about the problem that we're trying to solve. The problem that we're trying to solve by doing that is to survive the losing entries, right? There are entries that you take that end up being a loser, and we want to minimize the amount that you actually lose the most. So just by thinking about that question, that problem, the solution is bet less and only add to it when the direction is confirmed. So if you can understand that, you can understand what we're doing and how to add contracts at whatever support or resistance. Support, resistance, level, gold zone, trend line, wedge break, BRC, perp, level. You know, all of those could be an area where you add contracts to it. It really just depends on what we have there. So we got big volume pushing up right now. Price legit just supported off perp in that level right there, pushing through the high of the day, making new highs now. That was a little bit too fast for me to enter in. And it's kind of like, you know, mid candle, beginning of the candle. And we're never sure, right? When 625 pushes down and then 630 begins, we don't know that price is going to support perp and go up. So it's fine to not enter into something like this. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to create a habit of guessing, right? Because if you're not in an entry like this right now, you know, the first thing that a lot of people end up thinking is, oh, next time I'm in a similar situation, I'm just going to hit buy, or I'm just going to hit sell if I see it like this. And then at that point, you're just gambling. That's a 50-50. So just be aware that it's better to just not take an entry. Don't let it excite you. Our moving averages are starting to spread out really nicely, which means hopefully a trend is being established. You'll notice when we have our MAs, our mama lines, when they're open up and spread out and kind of in a specific direction nicely, usually price will be trending in that direction nicely. It's when, and think about it, right? When the hardest times, the times that are the hardest to make decisions is when price is near those lines, because they play as extra supports and resistances. So when they're close together, you know, it's difficult. When they're open up like this, it's a little bit easier because hopefully the trend is being established. But I got this big wick to the top here. We're pretty overbought. I'm looking left, and this area that we're rejecting right now is an area that we never broke up yet. Every time we've come to this area, we've rejected and dropped. It's not to say that we will not continue up, but it is to say that if it does reject and come down, I could respect that. Even like on this day, so Tuesday when I missed, I was talking to some people who took that entry. And on Tuesday, a lot of people got in at like 640 or 645, one of the hammers to the top side, and they got into one contract there. Once price broke up at 650, that's when a lot of people ended up adding contracts to it. So the first entry was off of the gold zone and the level, and then as price confirmed pushing up over the next perp, over the next level, over the gold zone, people started adding contracts to there. And it's smart because I like to trade with perp, right? So if price is still underneath perp, I don't want to be full port, 10, 20 contracts for a buy when we're underneath perp. Really wait for that confirmation. And vice versa, we make this M over here to come down. If you got into a sell-off of any of these, you start adding contracts when price breaks underneath perp. They said we take the one lot size, the initial entry off of the gold zone. As price pushes underneath perp, start adding contracts to it. So whatever is there to use, whatever data is there to use, we use it. Right now we got price that pushed up, wicks the top. Now we got a doji forming. We're overbought. We're at an area where price has rejected multiple times. We got not a doji, wick to the bottom.
But it's okay because I coached and we won all. And she's getting paid. And I'm getting paid. Hey guys, I.
154, Luke Dyson versus Hassan Zahidi. Let's fucking go. Fight 154, Luke Dyson versus Hassan. Guys, 90% of fight.
So I haven't seen you here.
Yes, guys, what's going? Technology. Technology. Technology.
Technologia. Technologia.
Another two, man. Stop playing on my brother top, man. He always fuck with me. My boy told me get them two on. No, dog. It was just that I could even tell you, bro. Like that shit. Bitch, I might be. Bitch, I might be. Bitch, I might be. Bitch, I might be.
Did you know that with magic keys you can control?
Oh, that was unemployment earlier. So that means tomorrow. Oh, wait, today's Friday. I didn't realize today's fucking Friday, guys. Oh, I really live under a rock, man. Got a little bit of rejection here. I guess if we break back down into London, I could believe price coming back down. I'd still need to see price break perp as well, though, to believe the coming down. Because right now the current structure is up, and price at last respected perp. So there is a chance that we'll still continue up here. Technologia. Liddies are still green. Getting some rejection here. Liddy candle looks like it wants to go red. It's dancing, it's dancing. Big selling off volume here. Pushing back to perp. Gold is going up, so price is going down. Usually gold and all these other assets usually run opposite. Technology. So big support to perp. This is one of those times when, you know, if we're not breaking perp, we might be respecting it and then heading back up. Finish that maybe push, the gold zone push. Right now looking at the last gold zone movement, that was P. The support of P. We went about 80-90% there. Looks like we might want to get the continuation possibly. Little hammer. Pretty big hammer. About 800 pips to the next gold zone, but we're still being pretty overbought. Ugh. Big rejection. We're not breaking up. All of a sudden, a blast of volume here. 2.5 minutes left. Still on top of perp. So really at least what I'm seeing is we have the high of London. So we're either pushing back into London session and then we'll drop, or we're fighting to stay above London session, which is just the high of the day. Kind of just gotta let it talk to us. Speak to us. Tell us where you would like to go. Once again, if we look at where we're ranging, it's on top of perp, and we're inside of the 630 candle. So really, just inside of the 630 candle. Testing perp right now. Still supporting perp though. What do we got? 3.5 minutes. Let's see if we're either respecting the trend, uptrend, or we're breaking perp. The rise and fall of CrossFit. Let's watch that.
So at its peak, CrossFit was an absolute juggernaut in the world of fitness. It had over 15,000 locations, which is more than 3 times the number that its closest competitor had. It had title sponsors in the form of Reebok, and millions of people were doing the sport. But fast forward just a few years later, the brand is up for sale a second time in 5 years. It's been through 3 CEOs, and it's mired in trouble. So this is a video that is about the rise and fall of this iconic fitness brand. My name's Michael. I record videos that talk about the rise and fall of iconic companies, and I use that as a way to explain business. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, do me a favor. I do bi-weekly lectures on the internet. They're free. You can come in via Zoom, and I talk about business concepts. If you're interested in learning and opening your own business, come see me. There's a link below. You can sign up. And if you stick around through this whole video, I'll explain to you why I'm recording it in front of a building with a police sign on it that used to be a former auto garage and now has a bunch of graffiti on it. It might surprise you. So husband and wife team, Lauren Janai and Greg Glassman, started CrossFit back in 2000. And it was basically the perfect counter to everything that was going on in fitness at the time. In fact, to understand the story of CrossFit, you really have to understand the personality of Greg Glassman. He's somebody who is just a natural contrarian. If you say the sky's blue, he's going to tell you it's green. And that's just the way he operates. And the thing about CrossFit is it took everything that existed in fitness at the time and did the exact opposite. Instead of gyms where you showed up whenever you want, there were set class times. Instead of long, kind of boring, low-intensity workouts, you did short, high-intensity bursts. And there was all kinds of other things they did when they invented CrossFit that was just the opposite of the way everybody else did things. And one thing that they did that was totally the opposite was use basically an open source model to do their workout system, do the CrossFit brand. It was something that they had borrowed from the open source software movement, which is you give away the product for free and you make money by selling other stuff on top of it. And this was all enabled by the internet. Distribution costs are basically free. You post it online, anybody can download it, and then you basically go from there. And one thing that was easy to do on the internet was to build a sense of community. People would gather around those types of things. And CrossFit was built around a website, CrossFit.com, where people would go. And it turns out that millennials who were coming of age at the time and older and younger Gen X, they were hungry for this sort of thing. They wanted to go and belong to a community. And CrossFit, well, it offered that around this fitness methodology. And the early 2000s saw the lowest decline we'd seen in history of what's called the third place. So if you think about society, typically your first place was his home, second place is just where you go to work, and the third place is this other place where you go to find meaning and substance in life. And for a lot of people, for decades, that was church. But early in the 2000s, we reached our lowest church participation in history. We're dropped below 40% in the United States. And for many, you could
Pretty
go
big
join your
support
tribe
here
at
to
CrossFit
Perp
box. They didn't call it
again.
by the way, because that would have been too conventional. And then you could find your tribe and your third place and a place to socialize. It
Maybe
was
we'll
perfect for folks who
continue
wanted to
up.
find stuff. And up until this time, the way that fitness change grew was one of 2 ways. One is you grew company-owned stores, meaning you owned old stores and controlled them and invested your own money in them. The second way was through a franchise model. You would work with independent entrepreneurs, they would join your franchise system, and they would follow your rules. But CrossFit did it a different way, which enabled them to grow faster than any of those other concepts. They did it through a licensing model. And basically, you would show up, pay for a weekend seminar, go through the training, pass a small test, and then you had the ability to pay CrossFit an annual fee to name your gym and call it a CrossFit gym. And in the business world, what CrossFit did was take the idea of counter-positioning to an extreme. And counter-positioning is when your business goes in and takes some fundamental aspects of the other people's businesses, and you just do exactly the opposite and create a business model that they can't compete with. And in the case of everything they did, from the franchise, anti-franchise methodology, to the licensing stuff, to the way the exercise works, to the way the brand worked, it was all just going exactly the opposite of the way everybody had done everything up until that point. And it worked incredibly well. From just 13 affiliated gyms in 2005, they were up to 5,000 by 2008 and 13,000 by 2013. And you can do the math. If your average affiliate is paying $3,000 or $4,000 a year times 13,000 gyms, that ends up being 30, 40, 50 million a year in licensing revenue for the chain. Just incredible. And by 2013, there's no exact measurement of how many members were doing CrossFit at these gyms or doing them outside the gyms, but some estimates went as high as 5 million participants worldwide. And I know there's a lot of people excited about it because I was one of them. 2009 was when I first got into CrossFit. And man, it felt a little bit like joining a cult. And the joke back then, and still to some extent now, is how do you know somebody's a CrossFitter? Well, don't worry, they'll tell you within 5 minutes. And I was definitely one of those people. I had t-shirts. And validation came with that.
How do you know when somebody's a CrossFitter? Don't worry. Just wait 5 minutes and they'll tell you. That's true.
Membership. In 2011, Reebok came calling, and they signed a $150 million 10-year sponsorship deal to become a title sponsor for CrossFit that year. And similarly, ESPN started to televise the global CrossFit Games, the championship for the fittest alive, on their TV stations. CrossFit had totally arrived. And the brand did something incredible in terms of its competition, the CrossFit Games. You see, people of any sort could enter globally and be part of the competition. And by 2018, 425,000 people that year entered the CrossFit Open. And you just follow the rules, you pay your $50 or whatever it is to enter it. And the winners of each successive level would go to the World Championship, the CrossFit Games, to be held wherever it was that year. I think it was in Madison, Wisconsin. Just an insane level of participation of people participating in this stuff. In 2018, that seemed like the moment that everything was going incredibly right for CrossFit. It seemed like the brand couldn't stop and it couldn't lose. But at that moment, it was when everything started to turn against the company and the brand. And the first thing to go against the brand was it started to gain a reputation as a dangerous exercise methodology. And I've kind of always been part of it because it was all about being extreme and pushing yourself to limits. In fact, even the early mascot for CrossFit was a character, a clown-looking thing, if I recall correctly, that was called Pukey. And the idea was that you were pushing yourself so hard during these highly intense short workouts that you would vomit. And that kind of pushing yourself to limits, eventually that kind of getting out of control behavior can start to lead to people getting injured. And while CrossFit had always kind of fought this idea that CrossFit could be dangerous, the reality was the low barrier entry for these different coaches who would just take a weekend seminar and then suddenly start having people do highly complex barbell movements and stuff like that. You know, wide variety in the quality of instruction that was happening at these different gyms. And at their size, with 13, 15,000 gyms, even 0.5% of the gyms being unsafe or unhealthy.
Might have a wedge forming here.
And so while the vast majority of gyms were, I would say, extremely safe,
It doesn't make its move in the next, couple candles. Got a good feeling we might be in a wedge.
National Strength and Conditioning Association, they started to do things.
But we keep getting selling off volume. Like price keeps pushing down. It's like we want to get back underneath London High, Asia High, London High. We're through perp now. How much time we have left on this candle though? 2.5, 250.
Things and studies things about them. And what did CrossFit do? Well, they did some stuff to try to make it safer in the gyms, but in reality, they were very combative. And that comes from the top. Who's a combative, rebellious guy? Greg Glassman. So while CrossFit is being seen as a somewhat dangerous exercise methodology, you have another thing happening, which is competitors are coming up. And a lot of the things that CrossFit had done early on, like being a small gym concept, being short intense exercise, those are pretty unique early on. But later on, new competitors started in the market. And so concepts like F45 and Orange Theory, who were franchise concepts, they would eventually over the 2010s open thousands of gyms respectively. And I had friends that would go choose those concepts because they saw them as safer than some of the complex movements that would be done at a CrossFit gym. And they were happy. And the third thing that started to go against the chain was the success of a licensing model itself. You see, in a normal franchising system, there's a limitation on how many gyms or how many franchises can be opened up. But in the case of CrossFit, there was no limitation. It was simply a licensing model. And the headquarters had no input on how many gyms were to be opened and where. So you have many situations where a gym would be open, be successful, and then somebody else would come in and open up right across the street. And suddenly, instead of having one very profitable gym, you have two gyms, and neither one of them's making any money. And lastly, while the spectral of the CrossFit Games had gotten people really excited about, the competitive sport of fitness and brought people in, it started to do the opposite later on. It got people to associate CrossFit with hardcore exercise and over-the-top endurance and all that kind of stuff you would see on TV. When in reality, the vast majority of people were very much interested in getting healthier and looking better naked. Well, CrossFit Games were not a good testament for that. And so this leaves the chain early in 2020 with a polarized image, one where people are kind of scared of the brand. You've got basically this dichotomy of not really understanding whether they're a fitness brand or a competition brand. And then you've got, in the worst case, the gyms themselves not doing very well because there's just too damn many of them. And that left the whole thing really unprepared for what was to come next. And that thing was the COVID pandemic. See, CrossFit was a gym concept built on in-gym participation. And during COVID, it was impossible to go to the gym. And if you can't go to the gym, why are you going to keep paying money? And so faced with this kind of stuff, 20% of the affiliates closed their doors during the COVID pandemic. It turned out for them, Zoom workouts just weren't going to cut it. And with Peloton and Mirror and other concepts like that booming during the 2020 pandemic era, many customers left and they just never came back. And remember how the personality of Greg Glassman kind of created this almost cultish-like feel for CrossFit that many people bought into? Well, the next thing that happened was that Greg went out and said some stuff he shouldn't have. He went online during the whole George Floyd issue and during the whole COVID issue and basically said the exact perfect wrong thing at the time. He basically diminished both of those things at, well, the exact wrong moment. He declared basically both of them to be a hoax and not worth talking about and to be orchestrated. And that was exactly the wrong thing to say during that particular moment. And the whole community and the business community rebelled against what he said. They didn't like it. He basically got canceled on that spot. And 7% of the gym affiliates announced they were quitting within a few hours of him doing that. And his title sponsor, the folks funneling a lot of money into the brand, Reebok, they quit too. And finally, waking up to the error of what he said, Glassman, who was initially kind of resistant to making any change, was forced to make an apology. But the reality was, the people in the community and the folks around it, they didn't buy it. Because just a few hours earlier, he had been attributed to saying inappropriate things to a private chat of affiliates via Zoom. And in June 2020, the man whose personality, to some extent personal brand, was synonymous with the idea of CrossFit, he was pushed out by the community he had created. And as we saw in the Subway story in this video right here, that you'll see on screen, there's a real danger when a brand associates itself with a single person. In this case, Greg did a lot of damage to CrossFit. So leaderless and aimless at this point, the brand was in trouble. An entrepreneur named Eric Rosa, who owned a CrossFit gym himself, he stepped up and with a group of investors came in to buy CrossFit and tried to basically save it. It was unclear at this time if Eric would be able to save it. A lot of damage had been done. But Eric did his best. Like, he's a good business person. And he came in and made a lot of good changes to try to rebuild goodwill, try to stabilize things, try to cut costs. And a lot of that helped. It helped stem the bleeding. And without Greg Glassman and his polarizing views and personality in the picture, things did stabilize a bit. And in 2022...
24 seconds left on this candle. It's pushing through perp, but we're resisting still, so still a chance we could be supporting. Liddy candles are going red. I still don't like trading against the 500 though. I'm gonna wait until I see a little bit more momentum. But now I'm thinking to myself, okay, as we're staying, if price is going to stay under perp, then that will be our selling off time.
Pickleball facility. This is located in Tigard in Bridgeport Village. It's National Yoga Month. Spend Sunday with me. Today I went to Bridge. Spend the day with me.
This is how I learn it.
I have my dream job of working in. Spend the. So I have a pretty big announcement.
What has Sonia been up to?
In Tigard in Bridgeport Village. This is called Pickleball Kingdom. And you guys, this is I have.
With a clever idea.
Look like we're not ready to break down. See if we'll get back up. See if we'll get back up, or will we push down?
The affiliate count rose to over 10,800 again, and things didn't look so terrible for Jake. And in 2022, Eric departed. It was reported that it was over disagreement with his fellow investors, and they brought in a new CEO named Don Fall, who was a former tech executive and a Marine. And the idea was to keep turning around the brand. But a lot of times when you see a change like that, it's because one group wants to be making more money more quickly, and another one wants to be thinking sustainably and building a community. And it looks like in this case, the investor types, the money types went out. And in 2023, the brand kept kind of doing things that would alienate its affiliates. It raised fees, so people who were already kind of struggling to stick on, they would be struggling even more to continue their affiliation. And with many affiliates starting to scatter again, in 2024, kind of the worst thing possible happened for the CrossFit brand. The CrossFit community is remembering the life of Lazar Dukic. A man who was competing at the CrossFit Games, Championship Games in 2024 and forward, a man named Lazar Dukic. He was participating in an open water swim event at the championships, and he drowned and passed away. And initially, his reports are that CrossFit handled the PR aspect of it pretty poorly. Though I did watch them from afar, and frankly, like they picked up the pieces after a while.
Like we might want to reject.
They could fix the fact that a competitor at the highest level of fitness was doing CrossFit and passed away, and that is bad. If you as CrossFit are trying to find a place in the mass market where lots of people are going to want to come do your very safe, quote unquote,
possible doji forming. Nope, maybe upside down hammer.
Can come in and change things from the trajectory they're currently on. So it'll be interesting to see if it happens. But man, for a fitness company that's built totally on the brand, they really put themselves behind the 8 ball with the actions of multiple different folks and some bad luck. There's a lot of lessons in the CrossFit story. For me, the biggest takeaway is the danger of associating a single brand with a single person. You run so much risk if something goes wrong with that person, or they make just one mistake. And in the case of Greg Glassman, he did that, and it cost everybody tens of millions of dollars, including him. Oh, and I promised to let you know why I recorded the hook for this video in front of that red building that was a closed-up garage. Well, that used to be a CrossFit gym. I went to that gym for over 10 years. I was a member there, and I did over 1,000 hour-long CrossFit classes there over a decade. I was that part of the community, and I have a lot of great memories in that place. So I wanted to record the intro there, but that's what I did. And oh, by the way, that CrossFit gym, it does have another CrossFit gym right across the street. Yeah, case in point. All right, so what do you think about this? Do you think CrossFit is something worth doing? Do you think it can save itself? What would you have done differently if you owned the brand? Let me know in the comments below. Or if you like the video, tell me you like the video, and I'll keep making them. Thanks for being here.
So first solid break under perp. That pushed us back into London and Asia.
The U.S. government is quietly reshaping the global economy in ways that will change our world forever. You can see this in just one sentence from Joe Biden's first address to Congress.
Think about it. There's simply no reason why the blades for wind turbines can't be built in Pittsburgh instead of Beijing. No reason. No reason. None.
This seems just like a boring political statement, but I promise this statement is a bigger deal than it seems, because it marks a new era in our global system, a system that all of us participate in, whether we know it or not. Or maybe it's a rerun of an economic system that the globe turned to right before the Second World War.
There's no reason why American workers can't lead the world in the production of electric vehicles and batteries. There's no reason.
In this video, I want to peek under the hood of the endlessly complex and fascinating global economy to show you just how deeply connected we've all become, and how those connections are...
Looking to come down. The only thing shitty about coming down, if that's what it wants to do, is we got the 100 right here possibly playing as a support. A lot of reasons to be careful about price coming down. But I'm just gonna watch the momentum and see what it wants to do. Come on. This is pushing us back into the high of the day too. So yesterday, we're back into the normal daily range of yesterday. Peak gold zone is about 1,000 pips away. A little more than 1,000.
Everybody has some level of anxiety over what our AI future will look like. Somewhere between Skynet and post-Gangster Utopia, the most immediate concern for most people is that this technology will end up doing their job better than they can. So far, one side of the argument points out that big new technologies in the past have only gotten economies wealthier, and when the jobs they replace, they end up making more better jobs somewhere else. The other side argues that, yeah, sure, when we replaced our muscles with machinery in the past, it let us leverage our minds, which are clearly what humans invest most of our evolutionary traits into. But if machines replace that, what else?
Let's see if we'll get magnetized back down to P. That's really the only other support here, other than the 100 MA. And the 100 MA is the only thing that scares me. Well, right before the P gold zone, we also have the 200 there, so let's see if we'll whiz right by them. Selling off volume is pretty strong.
Let's go into the day when you start seeing your favorite hawker stores close up. No more $3 meals. No more aunties calling you striker. Slowly, they'll all just disappear.
Big volume. I like it. We're through the 100. I really just don't like being on the 100 and the 200 though. Got some nice movement here. I have this trend line that could possibly play as support, and seeing that the MAs are there, I'm gonna go into profit here a little. So my stop loss is in profit 253. If it continues down, it continues down. If not, it'll tap me out 250. Rejected the high of the day, came back down, overbought. Stop loss is in profit 253, floating 300. Looking to take profit here at the bottom of the big wick. That was unemployment news, so either I'll take 253 from this day or I'll take 527.50. Juice trap, baby. I ended up taking 705. Yep. So that just tapped me out 253. So that's 500 on my day. I am solid. Good Friday. All we had to do was be patient, wait to see if that breakout. The breakout never happened to the top. 705 pushed underneath perp. Bada bing, bada boom. Pretty easy one. Once you can start to see those things, later's Chris and later's Ruben if you're jumping off. Once you start to see those things, like, you know, the high of Asia and London right there, which is also a level, you can kind of just picture it, right? Like, I think I saw price rejected the same spot. Exactly. I pointed that out to everybody as well. Zooming out, you would have seen that this spot we rejected 3-4 times, and now we're making our push down to P gold zone. So very nice entry here. Very nice down to this next gold zone. I am thoroughly happy with this. Not much to it. Perp is really the kicker here. Perp was what made me believe in getting into the downside at 705. Literally 5 minutes later, I have $500 in my pocket. Pushing through P gold zone now. It's amazing, guys. Trading with the juice is fucking amazing. That's all I'm gonna say. It's all right there. And you know, and if there's a chance at 645 you entered in, you know, for like one lot size, that's fine. That's fine if you end up holding on to that. Still in, Joe? Very nice. You should have stop loss at P gold zone by now. Protect your profits, man. Protect your profits. It's a good entry. I love it, Joe. I love it. You know, and then as we're coming down towards the 500 and that uptrend, you know, you can make the decision like, do you exit now, you know, or do you see if it continues down past the 500? You know, that's where I leave that up to you as to, you know, what you want to do. You know, as a trader, you make that decision. Are you okay with taking what you have at P for a stop loss and letting it run, hoping that you get a little bit more, or do you exit, right? Because like that's the one thing you gotta accept is if you leave your stop loss at P, it'll protect you, and it'll also give you room for it to run down. But as you're seeing here, like as price is going back up, you know, you ask yourself, should I have taken profit at the end of the last candle? Or, you know, either way, once you're in profit that much, which is probably a little bit over 1,000 pips, I don't care what you guys do, you know. I don't care what you guys do at that point. So yep, price came back up. That's what I mean. Stop loss, moving stop loss at those areas makes the most sense to keep consistent and longevity with trading, guys. I'm telling you. And look at the movement. Like today, we didn't even move that much. We moved up and down maybe 2,000 pips. But to think that we're making, you know, we've taken about 1,000 pips of this move, that is a lot. That is a lot. So translate that into money. I'm taking 500 for the day. Not much else to say, guys. That's a good Friday. That was a good week. Yeah, I think we all did pretty well this week. I'm kind of wishing that Monday wasn't a holiday. You know, like I don't know how you guys feel about trading now, but I kind of don't like the weekends because I enjoy making money. I like when the weekend. I like when the weekdays are here so that I can trade and make money. I always look forward to it. And there's a feeling that you guys are going to end up having to where you start to feel that way, and coming on the charts becomes very enjoyable. You know, like for me, I enjoy coming in on the charts when I can. I of course love to enjoy my life as well, but looking forward to coming on the chart every morning or every night depending on where you are. I mean, imagine if you felt like that about everything in your life, right? Current job, current relationship, current friends, current hobbies. Like if you felt that way towards everything in life, your life is really fucking good. You know, like despite making money and having a dollar sign on top of things of value, you end up being grateful for everything, and then you'd be surprised how life ends up just becoming better than it currently is, you know. I don't know you guys' lives personally, and I don't know how good of, you know, what your definition and where you guys sit at with being happy in your lives, but just remember, like, this shit, you know, it trickles over into your life because it is a source of income. I don't like drinking late night during the weekday anymore just to wake up mentally clear. Hey, it's a good habit now, you know? It's a good habit. I would say just come to Asia so you can come here and drink with me and then we just get drunk trading. Although I need to stop doing that. I need to stop doing that so that my back can heal up fully. But that's good, you know? Like that's a good thing to have. Like you're motivated and you see value in this, you know. And it does, you know. Like I don't like some. Once again, at the beginning of me doing this, a lot of the things I did in my life, I stopped, and people would be like, "Oh, you're cheesy," or you know, like, cause like Steven, if you were to tell people that you're limiting the drinking so that you can wake up clearer, like sometimes you get teased for that, you know? Like even if it's like a friendly tease or something like that, it's like, oh, you gonna do that? Oh, you weak, you weak. But I'm like, no, you know, and it's yeah, it the little things, you know, it matters to me. So fuck it, man. All I gotta say is once you lock this in, you can do it fucking hungover, drunk, high, stone, whatever. Maybe not hungover. I don't even fucking wake up when it comes to, you know. Fuck that. No, no. If I'm hungover, I'm not trading. If it's in the morning anyways. Oh, look at that. Price went back up to Tap You Joe and then it's dropping. That's something we can't control. But it always does that, you know? Like that is something we see a lot. Price loves to do that. It's to make you remember. It's to make you feel like you missed out, you know. But just remember, you didn't miss out, man. We stole money. Like think about it that way, guys. Every day that we come on and we make money, we just stole money from somebody, from the bank, from somebody. If you're selling, we took money from somebody who was buying. If we're buying, we took money from somebody who was selling. And sometimes we take money from the broker. Like I like that, you know. That's why I enjoy this so much because it's like it's my little rebellion to the world that told me that I couldn't fucking live a life like this, you know. All these things that say fuck you. And don't get me wrong, you know, that's the interesting part about when you're trading and then when you start to make money like this is you go from, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about the rich and the wealthy, you know. Some people think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair. I think it's if they did whatever they did to get to the point to where they're at now, whether they're born into it or not, like who am I to say like that's not a good thing? Like I don't care. I understand how our world works and money does make the world go around. I fucking love it. You know, I'm all right. Make your guys money, do what you need to do. Fucking who cares? But there is a certain point where you know, if you despise the rich and the wealthy, and then you get good at this, and then you start making money, it's like, okay, do you despise yourself now? It's like, no, like, because you're making money, you know, like the how I always like to say, and this is the last thing before I jump off. I don't want to keep you guys long today on this Friday, but I tell this a lot to, and Yuzo and all my other Juice peeps probably have heard this a lot, but the rules of the world don't apply to me. You know, like once you get good at doing this, the normal rules of the world don't apply to you. You know, like relationships, friends, everything, career, things that I do, like none of it applies to me because of the way I make money. It doesn't, you know? Like before I used to look at celebrities and I'd be like, how come these celebrities have like, you know, they go from relationship to relationship or have some kind of scandal or whatever. And society just hypes them up, and I'm like the only reason why it's that way is because of their power, you know, their influence and the money that they have, and it's legit, you know, because the moment I started living my life, not extreme, but you know, very comfortably, fuck everything, man. There's things I've done in my life that yeah, people will not be able to do because they don't have this leverage, you know. If there's one thing I have in my life, it is leverage. Like having the money and having the time to be healthy allows you to have so much leverage over the world. It's not even yourself, like it's having leverage over the world. That's why I live the way I do, because I have leverage. Money helps do that. Money is a tool. Fuck that. If anybody said money doesn't make money is the root of all evil, fuck out of here. Then give me the money, man. Give me the money if you guys really feel that way, you know? Hell no. Money's the tool, man. Money's the tool, and if there's anybody that says that it's not, it's, you know, maybe they're a very spiritual person, and that's good. But you know what? Spiritual people still gotta pay bills. And they'll be the first to hate people like me, you know? I got friends like that, you know? They're like, I hate you, Ed. You're always so positive. I'm like, how? Did you just hear what you said? You're the most spiritual person I know. And you're telling me that you hate me because I'm the most positive person because of the way I live my life and make money. It's always funny. It's a double standard with it, you know. It only applies to you if it's against you. It's unfair if it's against you, and if you're experiencing it, then it's okay. Funny world we live in, but that's one of those things I can't control, so it doesn't bother me, you know. I just move on. They're still my friends. I still love them, but at the end of the day, you know, they want to live the life they want to, and if you guys choose to live your lives how you want to, just know that this life exists. So, and I know that's why you guys are all working hard to figure this out and to do this, get this consistent, is because you guys witness the other side, right, that exists, and it does. The life where rules don't apply to you, it exists, and all it takes, and it's not even that much. Like, to be able to live to where the rules don't apply to you, maybe you gotta make like 80 grand. If you can make 80 grand trading minimum a year, the rules seriously don't apply, because then you're going to realize you don't have to work. And yes, maybe you're not living the most luxurious life, but you're living a life that you're happy, you know. And then from there you have the time, you have time to put into other businesses, you have time to put into friendships, you have time to explore who you are as a person, and then it really expands from there. So I hope you guys all get to that point, and then I hope you guys are realistic about it, because it is tough. It's tough to grasp. You know, at the beginning, everybody's just thinking, I'm going to make money, I'm going to retire, or I'm going to do this full time. And that's good, but you guys really got to plan this out, you know. And I realized that when I first started. I got like the third year mark when I started figuring this out. This motherfucker just keeps going down. Yep. Probably go down to S1, or probably will bounce up someplace over here. But it got to a point where I had to really plan out, you know, how I was actually going to be successful at this, you know, and how could I manage my life. And at first it felt like I was counting my eggs before they hatched, but once I realized that the data and the money kept going up, I was like, no, this is for real, you know. And you got to plan for your success. Everybody's like, oh, don't plan in case it doesn't happen. It's like, yeah, but what if it does happen? You know, people fall into success and they're never ready to handle it, and then they go broke, and then they end up fucking self-inducing themselves with some kind of fucked up mental disorder that doesn't even exist. It's because they didn't plan for the success, you know. That's why the moment you become a celebrity or an artist or an athlete, right? The first thing they tell you to do is go get yourself a tax attorney. Go get yourself somebody who has your best interest for you, so that you can focus on living your life. And I've helped, and I still do, you know, I help with managing artists out in Spain and things. But that's the biggest thing I always tell people, is like, artists gotta stay artists, you know, and creatives gotta stay creatives, and you have to stay you. You gotta work on being happy, you gotta work on your craft. Unfortunately, the world of business always has like shady people, so it's tough to find people like me and people who have your best interest set forth for them. So, but yeah, I believe everybody can do this, guys, and there's a lot of people out there. There's hundreds of thousands of people who do what I do, and you guys are going to do that too. So make sure you guys have that mindset that you guys will do this, you will figure this out, and you will be consistent, and you will, you know. Believe it. Believe that shit. Believe it until you achieve it. Once again, you guys have all taken an entry that was correct. And you guys have all gone days where you have taken only a good entry. Like that alone is proof that you guys can do this. Because now it's just managing the losers, and after that you're good. Like legit. Like that's why I'm glad I figured this out, how to teach it the way I do, because it makes everybody realize that you guys can actually fucking do this. So there's Price, pretty much down at S1 Gold Zone. Was a little bitch over there and had to go back up and tap us out at P Gold Zone, but it's all right. I'm taking 500 from this day, 250 on each account. I'm happy with that. I was a little bit safe today and I'm okay. Anybody else got any questions? I'll give you guys about 5 minutes. I'll stay on for another 5 minutes and then I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna start making my video here. A pretty straightforward day. Roger that, Steve. Enjoy your weekend. Good movement. Such good movement. Tap this one. That entry must felt good, huh, Joe? I like getting into these entries like that. They just, you know, they just work out and they feel so fucking good. Just channel that, right? Like channel that shit every day. Even through the losers, channel that shit. We know the losers will happen. Let it happen and then move forward. Alright, y'all. If you guys are all Gucci, I'm gonna GTFO. Friday felt like the only... No, for real, right? Yeah, it was the only day that's pushing. It be like that, man, you know? I mean, I already felt it from the beginning, right? I think I told you guys like on Tuesday, like just something feels off. And it is, I mean, just the Labor Day weekend and then the news that hit. Could that be the reason? Possibly. I'll just say, fuck it, you know? Like, who cares? Who cares what the real reason was? As long as we survive this week and if you're green for the week. And that's something, you know, for all of you guys to look at too, right? Like, understand overall is gonna trump everything. So that's why how you guys feel daily is very important. You guys should be feeling like it doesn't matter if I lose today. It doesn't matter. Like if you lose today, if you lose one day and then you win the other 4 days, you're good. Even if you win 2 days, if you lose 2 days and then you win the other 3, like you're green. You're green for the week, and that's all that matters. And yes, it might feel like you're not making as much, and that's a fact. Like it is. Like start to get to the point where you guys are accepting reality for what it is. Like if you lost 2 days and you won 3 days, then obviously you're going to make less than you made on the day that you won 4 days or on the week that you won 5 days, right? The more that you guys start to like see it before it happens, that's why I like trading. And you know, I strategize my entire life. The way I look at trading is there is nothing bad that ever happens to me unless it's health, right? There's some health things that I can't control, but there's nothing else in my life that happens to me that I wasn't already prepared for, you know, or like I wasn't Yeah, I wasn't prepared for. Like I always know, and it's a little bit of being able to think ahead. But that's what we have to do, right? Like life is a game of chess. Like if we're looking at the beginning to the end, and the end is just death, like we already know how everybody's life could go, right? Because we've seen, right? This is 2025 already. We've seen 2025 plus years of life happen already. So we already know, like legit, we're breathing to die. We're all just slowly dying. That's a crazy thing to think about, right? But I like to say that, and I like to make that tangible so I can understand how important like living every day to the fullest is. You know? And then when it comes to trading, it's literally that. It's understanding everything that bad that could happen and being prepared for it. Which the only thing bad that can happen is just losing. As long as we're managing how we lose, right? Like if you're losing often, then we figure out what the problem is, we fix it, we move on, you're good. If you're not fixing the problem and you continue to lose, then obviously there's nothing we can do about it, because that's a you thing. You know, we can try to figure it out, but that's a you thing, you know. But just like how in life, like if you have habits, if you have bad habits for whatever the fuck it is, maybe you keep getting into a toxic relationship, or maybe you keep staying at the job that you really dislike, you already know what the result is going to be, right? Like you already know you're going to dislike going into work tomorrow. It's going to be a miserable day. You're going to get off 8 hours later. You're going to go home, do the same shit you're going to do the next day, right? I'm not even going to talk about the previous day. I'm going to talk about the next day, because that's insanity. That's insanity to think that you're going to put yourself through the same shit every day and not try to change something, right? That's the only way that we can expect different results, is if we change up something within the problem to get a different result. And that's what it is. Like I've ran through every single bad option that could possibly happen, and I'm still okay with making the decisions that I make in life, because I fully think at the moment that that is going to result in the best decision. And even when it doesn't result in the best decision, it's still a lesson learned, and I'm still not totally surprised. You know, like even when I fail daily. Daily I do something that I fail at, business, whatever, and it never surprises me. You know, it never surprises me, and it never makes me feel depressed. It never makes me feel like I'm not worthy, or that I can't continue, or that I can't achieve bigger things, because I was expecting it already. You know, that's what good, high quality people are capable of doing. And yes, you may not have been exposed to it all your life, but I'm exposing it to you guys now. You know, like literally the moment you decide to make the change in the thinking, your whole life ends up changing. You do have to keep at it though. That is something that is difficult. To stay consistent at doing something differently is difficult, because we believe that the result that we had over the course of however long is normal, right? And we like normal. You know, where humans are creatures of habit, so we love to have, you know, things that feel comfortable, you know, and repetitive. The moment you do something that's different, you already start looking for reasons why it doesn't work, right? That's the bad mentality. So you guys are all Gucci, man. Keep at it, guys. Friday was a solid day. Keep at it. Next week's another week. Keep trugging. Keep moving on. Keep fucking doing it, guys. You guys are all Gucci. So 9:41 for me, 7:41 for you guys on the West Coast. I'm gonna GTFO, make this video now and then post it. If anybody has any questions, hit me up. But I will talk to you guys throughout the weekend, or I will see you guys on Monday. So hit me up if you guys have any questions. Ed loves you. Peace be to people. I'm out, skis, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Love you guys. Peace.